Well, this is quite a show today. We have world-renowned guitarist Stanley Jordan, four-time Grammy nominee. The groundbreaking album from 1985, Magic Touch, spent an unprecedented 51 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Jazz Chart. He's traveled the world, and he's worked with legends like Dizzy Gillespie, Benny Carter, Stanley Clarke, Regina Carter. That's just a handful of who he's worked with. And we're also joined by Kenwood Dennard, drummer. Worked with Sting, Miles Davis, Maceo Parker, Dizzy, Jaco?
Pastorius.
Yes.
Woo-hoo.
Welcome.
Thank you, Tom. Happy to be here.
Yeah, Paul.
Paul.
But I could be Tom for you. That's fine. Oh, my goodness. So where did you come in from?
From different places. So you guys flew in from the Northeast.
New Hampshire.
And I drove in from Kansas.
You drove in from Kansas?
Drove in yesterday, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So we came in a little early with the hopes that we'd be able to do this interview today. So I'm glad it worked out.
How did you guys meet? How long have you known each other?
Since like 84?
Right, 84, we've known each other. We didn't literally play with each other until around, we didn't record until around 89.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you have some of the material that we recorded on Stolen Moments.
Yes.
1989.
I was a street musician in New York, and I was playing outside one of the clubs that Kenwood was getting ready to play in with Jaco Pastorius, and he saw me
55
out.
Grand.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful club
Legendary.
called 55 Grand Street.
Legendary club, and I was literally getting in at the ground floor, and he saw me out there playing.
So I heard him playing. I was playing with Jaco Pastorius inside, and I didn't want to be late for my gig, but I heard this incredible guitar player. Now, I'm a drummer, and I love coordination, but here he is playing the bass lines and the chords and the melody. He's got one guitar. I didn't see any extra limbs. He only had two arms. And so I had to stop. I don't care, I'm doing my sound check, but, I'm stopping. I'm listening to this guy. And then I really was captivated by what he was doing. But I thought, well, does he play jazz? Does he play blues? Does he play that heartfelt blues? Or is he one of these guys that's only cerebral? Mm-hmm. And I asked him, so can you play the blues? He said, oh, yeah, man. Yeah. And I didn't even have to stop and listen to him do it. Yeah. There's something about his sincerity just moved my heart. I said, well, I'll be your drummer for the rest of my life because I love you.
I love that. I did not even notice that was in your hand. It just popped out. Do you carry that with you wherever you go, Kenwood?
Yeah. It's a long story. I do.
At first, I thought it was a harmonica because you were putting something up to your mouth.
I needed something to compete with the beautiful low voice that you have, so I brought this with me.
And Kenwood just blows me away every day. It's just such a blessing playing with him. And, every day you do stuff that I've never seen any drummer do ever. And I just love your creativity and your joy. You've got that Billy Higgins smile going on, and you got the creativity and just genius level combination of coordination. I love counterpoint. I love complexity, but not complication.
I'm very touched. Thank you. And I must say, you have a role in that, no pun intended, but you have a role in that because you just inspire me every single time. But now all of a sudden we're talking about the moons of Jupiter and the orbital periods of the planets of Venus, Mars, Mercury. It's ridiculous.
Because I do a lot of stuff with sonification of celestial dynamics, like taking the movement of the celestial bodies and rendering that as sound. And Kenwood is aware of that work. He's seen some of that. But he's taking some of that and actually just playing it in his drums and just taking things that I normally do as a pitch, he'll do it as a combination of rhythms.
Because a pitch is literally a ratio. It's a series of ratios.
Frequency
if you stack
ratios.
Them up, you get the harmonic series and 5 against 3, and I could bore you forever. I'm so excited.
But rhythm is basically harmony slowed down.
Harmony slowed down.
Yeah.
Okay, what you may not know, we're talking with guitarist Stanley Jordan and drummer Kenwood Dennard. And what you may not know about Stanley is he's known for his signature touch technique, an advanced form of two-handed tapping in which both hands fret notes directly on the guitar neck. How did you start doing that?
Well, my first instrument was piano. And I got the idea from piano, and I wanted to be able to play some of the piano chord voicings and also the degree of independence that pianists have. I wanted to at least approximate that on a guitar. And I tried 4 or 5 different techniques until I worked out what I came to call the touch technique. And I've been doing it since the mid-'70s. I've been doing it for a long time. And, you know, it took a long time to catch on. In fact, I had people come up to me, like stop me on the street. Are you Stanley? Yeah. I just wanted you to know that thing, that thing you do. I just want you to know I'm not going to do it. I'm like, what? But now it's very common among some of the younger players. I see it's really, really caught on. And so I feel like hopefully, you know, I've made a contribution to the instrument. I think that the touch technique doesn't replace conventional techniques, but I think it adds a significant new approach because of the level of independence and also the sound. I love the sound. I love that sparkly, vulnerable, crystalline tone that you get from that.
Yeah.
You know? And I've worked with engineers who say that they find it interesting to mix my guitar because it has different properties. Like one engineer, when we were recording my friend's album, the engineer said, your sound is interesting because it leaves the speaker faster than any of the other instruments. And I was trying to understand because the velocity of sound is the same. Or what are we talking about here? And I think I figured out what he's talking about because there's a simplicity and purity to the sound that allows your brain to decode the pitch so quickly that from a psychoacoustic point of view, you're able to perceive the sound in an instant. And so you have to really also be careful with your timing because you can sound like you're rushing. If you got to kind of lay back and know that your sound is going to crystallize in people's minds quickly.
There's such a science to this.
There's a lot of science.
Idea.
Well, you know, I mean, just the combination of the left and right brain, I think that's a lot of what we're trying to do here. That's one of my favorite things with Kenwood, too. The combination of the kind of inspiration and the spiritual side of music with the technical, the structural, the mathematical. We need to pull all that together because we're at a time in evolution of our species where it's kind of make it or break it. And a big part of the problem that we have is this over-specialization. Like, what are you? Are you more of a sort of English or arts major, or are you more of a science geek, you know? Well, you know, we need to break down these barriers. And one of the things that I think that music does is bridge those gaps. And in fact, on one of the albums that Kenwood played on with me was my State of Nature album. And there's 3 songs on there called Mind Games, 1, 2, and 3. And part of the idea of that was to kind of inspire the mind. So this is just one aspect of the whole thing, but to kind of inspire people's cognitive processing through music. And there's these short little vignettes. And when we were in the studio, I used to say, now, mark my words, these things are going to get played on NPR. And the way that you know is play any one of them, and as soon as it finishes, say, the news is next. And you'll see what I mean. Everyone's like, oh my God, I see what you mean. And sure enough, as soon as the album came out, there was a spike because NPR found it and played it.
Bumper music.
What do they call them? The bumpers or
the bumpers.
The buttons or whatever you call. Yeah, right.
The fill music up to the top of the hour. Sure. Wow. Let's go to your early years.
Yeah, you know, it's such a treat for me to go back and listen to that now because it brings back so many memories. Because ever since I was really young, I dreamed of being able to play jazz with that exact sound.
So
and one of these days, an instrument was invented that allowed me to do that, and I was just in heaven.
What was it like growing up in your household? What kind of music? I'm guessing jazz.
Well, my mother was the one who got me started in music, and she
play?
She was an amateur pianist. She didn't have a lot of skill at it, but she had the love. She had so much love for it. And I think I was the one who probably got her more into jazz, although being younger and coming from that generation, she was exposed to a lot of jazz. I remember one time she told me that she had been listening to a station where they did a special on Miles Davis, and they played music from all of his different periods. And they were talking about how he changed and he went through all these big changes. And she said, I don't get it. It all sounded the same to me. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Were you listening to the whole band, or were you focusing on the trumpet? And she said, well, I was focusing on the trumpet. And then I realized, oh, well, that's actually a very astute observation you just made. Miles actually really didn't change. He changed all this stuff around him, but his actual playing didn't actually change that much.
How about you, Kenwood, growing up?
Growing up,
Yeah.
I got a drum set. You know, a lot of times the technology comes first, then come the innovations. You know, the drum set didn't even exist before, let's say, Kluk Mop, which is Kenny Clark, and we had a Gene Krupa came out, and the drum solo didn't even exist. The set did, but not the solo. So the technology coming up that I was playing on a drum set I got for Christmas. Basically, I just couldn't wait to open up the little. I used to sneak in and smell the drum set, and so it all started. I got the drum set first before I became a drummer. So the technology came first, and my sister was the first drummer, and she set it up all wrong.
Right.
So therefore, I had a chance to play left-handed and get my coordination going until I finally learned to play the right way. So okay, I'll learn that way too. So I've got both ways. And funny thing is about about me starting is I learned that way, and I went to Dalton High School in New York in order to develop my musicality. I started out at the age of 8 as a drummer, and then I started taking lessons at 9. But I started on piano at 3, and so the point is that later Jaco Pastorius heard me play somewhere. I have no idea where, and he hired me. And he was talking to his son, and his son said, "Hey, Dad, why didn't you hire Peter Erskine? Peter Erskine sounds great, And so he said to his son, he said, No, man, wait till you hear this guy. His name is Kenwood Dennard. He swings both ways."
And there was a pause.
Those are my early years, and I started playing, and I ended up playing with Luther Vandross. We were telling you in the hallway.
Yeah.
I was about 13, and he was about 18 at the time, and there was a group called Listen My Brother, and no one was famous or anything like that. We were just musicians who had to prove that, in my case, East Harlem, or in the guitar player's case, the Bronx, and that we had to prove that. I wanted to prove that East Harlem belongs on the map.
You were in such an epicenter. I mean, weren't you at that concert that they did, like what they called the
Summer of Soul? Was
yes.
It? Yep, and that was such it was like the beginning Woodstock. Actually, it was a soul version of Woodstock. We were protesting the World Trade Center as it was just being built. We didn't want that in our neighborhood. We wanted the people to be able to make money selling their own African dashikis and their own wares and their own incense. You don't want like a huge building in the middle of Harlem. Well, we sang our hearts out, but it got built anyway. 125th Street, that one. And Bill Clinton used to live there, He had an office there, I should say. So early years, then I went to Dalton, like I say, and I started on piano. And so I mixed the two together because I used to listen to James Brown a lot.
Yeah.
If anyone loves James Brown. And being young, I didn't know that you're not supposed to play all those instruments that you're hearing from that speaker. Different musicians played that music. So I heard it and I said, okay, well, the guitar is doing it. And then the left hand. And I started playing that on the piano, and I thought, oh, maybe I can play drums with the feet or something. Who knows? And later on, I started with that. So those were some comments about my early years.
I relate to that, too, because when I'm playing two guitars at the same time or playing guitar and piano together, I think of it like one instrument. And so that's the whole point, is that it's one instrument with just more range of colors.
I am so enjoying this, and unfortunately I have to wrap it up. Oh, I have enjoyed this so much.
Thank
Kenwood,
you, Paul.
oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Kenwood Dennard, drummer, and Stanley Jordan, guitarist. Thank you so much for your music.
Thank you. Kuvo Jazz. Thank you for having me.
And what you're giving us. I can't wait to hear the new project coming soon.